Nitha Nitya Gaura Haribo 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 Nitya Haribo Nitya Gaura Jayam Vishnu Paramamsa Parivrajacharya Asatotatsara His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Vrindavandama Ki Jai Mayapur Navadviptama Ki Jai Ganga Maya Jamuna Maya Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtana Ki Jai Sankirtanya Ki Jai Nitai Gopremanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Glories to Prabhupada. Okay, a slight deviation here from your program. My apologies. Just I thought it would be nice to give a little warm up for Lord Chaitanya's appearance tomorrow. So we're going to talk about on Lord Caitanya-caritāmṛta. It's a last minute notice, so you'll have to bear with me and forgive any mistakes or defects in this class. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pujadine Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Pastityadi Sitarine. So this morning we're reading from Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Madhya 1055, entitled The Return of Lord Chaitanya's Troubles from to Jagannath Puri. Nisha Kriya Vita Pritya Panchaputra Sane Atma Samfilan Amit Maratarane Nisha Kriya Vita Pritya Panchaputra Sane Atma Sampilunu Amit Maratarane. Nijagriya Vita Britya Panchaputra Sane Atma Samarpilun Ami Tumara Charane Nijagriya Vita Britya Panchaputra Sane Atma Samarpilun Ami Tumara Charane Nijagriya Vita Britya Panchaputra Sane Atma Samarpiluname Tumara Charane Nijagriya Vita Panchaputra Sane Atma Samarpiluname Tumara Charane Nijagriya Vita Britya Panchaputra Sane Atma Samarpiluname Tumara Charane Atma Samarpiluname Tumara Nija own Griha house Vita wealth Ritya servants Panchaputra 5 sons Sani wed Atma self Samarplan surrender Ami I Kumara your Tarani at the lotus feet. Appreciating Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's favor, Bhavananda Raya also said, along with my home, riches, servants, and 5 sons, I surrender myself at your lotus feet. Please repeat. Appreciating Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's favor, Bhavananda Rai also said, along with my home, riches, servants, and 5 sons, I surrender myself at your lotus feet. Purport. This is the process of surrender, as Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings. Manase deho keho yo kichumo apilo tu apade nanda kisho. This is from Bhaktivinoda Sranagati. Beautiful. When one surrenders unto the lotus feet of the Lord, he does so with everything in his possession, his house, his body, his mind, and whatever else he possesses. If there is any obstruction to this surrendering process, one should immediately give it up without attachment. If one can surrender with all his family members, there is no need to take sannyas. However, if anyone thinking of sannyas. However, if the surrendering process is hampered by so-called family members, one should immediately give them up to complete the surrendering process. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunayatandena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Vayam Rupa Karam Mayam Jarati Swaparantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Nityam Tam Sakyuti Tadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhavitam Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gorange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpatra Vasindu Devita Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namah Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrindakita. So, for those of you who don't know me, looks like all familiar faces here. I'm coming from the manor, not so far away from the manor, 5-6 minutes. And actually, most of you know, I've been here at Karunabhavan in 1968, 1986, sorry, it's going past me. Yeah, 1986, I got married, and 3 months after being married, I was escorted in. He's a very surrendered wife, actually. Going to Scotland. I was here for 1 year. It was beautiful, very new temple. Everything was Baka. It was very nice. I was a Sankirtan devotee. But I was told I don't have to do Sankirtan. I can come and take care of the deities, pujaris. Husband and wife pujaris, very nice. So anyway, it's cutting a short story, long story short. I wasn't that surrendered. I couldn't last a year, unfortunately. This verse is about surrender, the lotus feet of the Lord. But unfortunately, 1 year was a bit too much for me. I was missing my temple there because I was like part of the furniture at Bhaktivedanta Manor long enough. So all my friends were there and I felt very lonely. There were no other ladies here in this temple, very quiet. So I felt the pangs of separation and it was becoming a bit too much for me. So after a year, I wanted to go back, definitely wanted to go back. And that wanting to go back was increasing and increasing. I can only take 1 year. So I left. And yeah, the stalwart devotees, after all these years, giving their life to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So to offer our obeisance to them. So yeah, Caitanya-caritāmṛta is so beautiful. When you read the pastimes about Lord Chaitanya, there's so many similarities from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because Lord Chaitanya is non-different to Krishna himself. He directly came to give us this special mercy, acting as a devotee himself. How magnanimous is that? So he's come with so much love to give. Actually, this meditational process is for Satya Yoga. Satya Yoga, where the great saints and sages, they would meditate and pray to the Lord so sincerely from their heart that the Lord would come in person and give boons. What do you want? But in Kali Yuga, it's very difficult. So Mahaprabhu is brought this chanting, this meditational process from Satya Yuga to Kali Yuga. And it's directly, Golokaya Premadana Harinama Sankirtan. It's coming directly from the spiritual world, this chanting of the holy name. If we really take this chanting of the holy name seriously, really coming from the heart, following the 10 offenses in the back of our mind, we can climb mountains. So powerful. You can feel it. That's what they say, the more you chant, the more you want to chant. You feel that there's an obstruction. If you have some services, you have this, you feel like something stopping, you just want to continue. Like that, you have that feeling. So this chanting is so important that when you perform the services, everything else falls into place. Materially or spiritually, it falls into place. And when challenges or difficulties come, then we very easily able to overcome it. Don't say it's not there. Challenges are always there. The Kalayam Asasvatam, this place, this material world is a place of suffering. So challenges will come, but the power of the holy name is so strong, so energetic, powerful, that we can overcome any obstacle on the path if we take real shelter and have sincerity of heart. Don't think to talk too much there. Let's go on to this verse thing. Okay. So this is it. When one surrenders unto the lotus feet of the Lord, he does so with everything in his possession. Everything in his possession is house. So when we talk of our house, what is in the house? Our possessions is our furniture, our clothing, so many rug carpets, maybe some money, maybe a nice car, all these things are our possession in the house. So what do? If we have a house? We dovetail that house into a temple for the service of the Lord. We know that everything belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if we dovetail everything to serving Him, we have no difficulty. When we try to hoard and we try to expand, especially a woman's nature is to expand. Therefore, she's called Shri. Lakshmi Devi Shri. She expands. Chanchalam, Krishna. So she moves around and expands things. So that is the nature of a woman. But for a woman to be satisfied, then the husband, the man, will have to keep her satisfied. So Chanakya Pandit says, the wife, to keep her happy, you have to give her lots of gold, lots of jewelry, lots of, saris, whatever the case may be, to keep her fulfilled and happy. In this way, household life is working in harmony. And then the husband is not hampered in his spiritual life to make advancement, because as the husband is making an advancement in his life and the wife is satisfied, then she follows behind him. So Prabhupada says in this age, you don't, when a husband dies, then the wife enters into the fire as well to go back home. But Prabhupada says in this life, she doesn't have to do that, because if she follows her husband the way he is practicing, then she automatically goes back home, back to Godhead. So in this way, if the house is dovetailed to serving Krishna, it becomes a temple. It's even better if you're living near the temple. Then you go to the temple every day, you serve there. And then, your house is still a temple. When you don't go to a local temple, you have your home as a temple. So that's the house. And this body is also a house, a temple of God. How is it a temple of God? Because within this structure, within this body, although it is temporary, birth, death, old age, and disease we're facing in this material world, but Krishna, due to our own ignorance, we've landed ourselves in this material world. But Krishna is so kind. He doesn't see our mistakes. He doesn't see our faults. And he agreed to accompany us as the living force in this body, the soul. So this body is also a temple of God. So we keep it very clean. We mark the body with, markings on the forehead, neck, chest, etc. And we use it as a service to Krishna. Offering our obeisances, smelling the flower, offering light, a lamp to the deities. We do all these things as services to surrender this body to Krishna. And how we know, and Prabhupada explains here at the end, he said, so-called family members. It's strange, it says so-called. Why so-called? So sorry. Haven't been very well recently. Very cold. So, yeah, the body. So in Bhagavad Gita 2:13, we know so-called family members, because these family members are not, we looking at our family members in this life. So so-called means how many lifetimes have been around, we've been around this material world. How many families have we had? How many children? How many mothers? How many fathers? It's countless. We don't even know who we were in our previous life, what to speak of this life. So so-called family members, this body, we're looking at everyone on a bodily concept. This is my son, this is my mother, this is my father, this is my uncle. This is mine, this is mine. I, me, and mine. That's the focus in the material world. So in Bhagavad Gita 2:13, it explains, Dehi nosmin yata dehe komaram yoganam jara tata diantara prapti dhirastatra namuyate. So as this embodied soul, passes from youth, childhood, boyhood to youth to old age, similarly the soul at the time of death passes into another body. So it's like transmigration of the soul, reincarnation, like that. So our material bodies are temporary. We have to understand that, And then the mind, that was, I'm assuming, what's this, Chanchalam? Eva? Right. So this mind is like, in Bhagavad Gita explains that this mind is like a raging wind. How to control it, like you have horses, you're riding in it, how to control the brain of the horse. It's so wild. 1 second you're here, your mind can be in India, Africa. It can go all over the place. When you're chanting japa, that's the hardest. Krishna says, of austerity, I'm japa. So that's the time everything else comes in your mind, how you have to fight the mind to keep it focused and concentrate on what you do. So but the mind can be, there's another verse in Bhagavad Gita, I'm very bad with memory to remember all the text, but the mind can be the best friend and the mind can be the worst enemy. Because Krishna is kind, whatever we desire, it provides. Anything that we desire. Sometimes I notice the thought would come in the mind without me actually desiring for it, and it happens. And I think, I didn't even want this, and it's happened. I was only thinking about it. So sometimes you think about something and it happens. So the mind is a very, very powerful tool. So the mind is a very powerful tool to help, us to focus, to concentrate, to maintain our Krishna consciousness. It's very difficult. It's not an easy thing it's very subtle, very subtle. Sometimes as a devotee, the mind can play tricks. It's called the last snare of Maya. You think you are very spiritual, you're doing spiritual activities, but there's some deviation. Even within the spiritual environment, there can be a deviation. So we have to be so very careful. We have to take guidance from senior devotees, from the Guru. That's why it's so important to have a guidance in our life, a spiritual master that can give us the intelligence how to stay on the path of devotional service. So in this way, we are safe in our life. So whatever else he possesses, there's so many things we possess in this material life, be it subtle, gross, whatever the case may be, but still at the back of our mind, we think we own these things. They're going to be with us forever. But actually, at the time of death, we were born alone. We would die. There's nothing to take back with us. So while we were here, rather than taking, hoarding, and keeping, we should have the heart of giving, giving. If we think we have too much, then we give. Like the 6 Goswamis, they were very well to do. They had a boatload of gold coins, and then they given it out. And they kept 25% in case of emergency. So we should be very magnanimous in our giving to devotees, to the Supreme Lord, and see, keep it like minimum, balance our life in such a way that there's no botheration of caring for the things that we have, excess things we have. We went to America, visiting there, and we were curious. This is naughty, but just to get some understanding about how people live. We went to Hollywood. Yeah. And we saw the houses, and every house had a security gate. Huge gate. Houses were mansions, celebrities, the stars, huge houses. And how can you be happy in such a place? Completely barricaded all around, and you got security guards by the gate. It's like almost fearing to come out and go in. You're stuck in another prison. This is a bigger prison, and you stick yourself in another smaller prison. It was painful to watch. What are these people doing? They're so very famous all over the world, and yet they're living in a situation where they can't even come out, safely, or go in safely. So it's nice to move around to see, how people are living. We try to give a book here and there, always carry books, try to give people a book here and there. But it's sad when you go around to see how life is being lived, in the fast lane. People, when they become, there's 6 opulence, Krishna has 6 opulence. Some of them have like 5 opulence. They never can come to 6. They have beauty, they have fame, they have wealth, they, forget about renunciation. There's so many things they have, but the knowledge is not there. Some of the stars now, they're getting very, intelligent. They want to find out what's more, and devotees are very helpful. They go on YouTube, there are programs, there are all sorts of things, giving the world, a better understanding about Krishna consciousness, the philosophy, and they read these things. Some devotees actually go to the houses of stars and they preach to them, and some of them read Bhagavad Gita as well, and they take to Krishna consciousness. So it's our duty, really, to give this message to everyone that we meet. We should never see who's a high devotee, who's a low devotee, because Lord Chaitanya was very magnanimous. He gave everyone freely. If he can give the mercy through Nityananda to Jagai and Madai, the whole material world is full of Jagai and Madai. So he was very merciful. He gave it very wildly, chanting of the holy name, Harinam, Sankirtan. So we should be like that. We should be doing our part in this mission for Srila Prabhupada, who spent tons of his blood to come to the West and give us this Krishna consciousness. So one should immediately give up If one can surrender with all his family members, there is no need to take sannyas. So if there's a happy home, the wife is serving the husband nicely, and the husband is providing, maintaining the family. You're dovetailing your house, you're serving Krishna. Everything is in place, and you're chanting nicely, and you got the goal of, life, the end goal at the back of your mind, and you're moving in that way with faith. Faith is very, very important. Krishna consciousness, faith, conviction, and determination. Those are the three things we need to keep with us: faith, conviction that the process works, and determination. Come hail or high waters, we're on this path, we chose this path, and we stay there, irrespective of the ups and downs. My favorite verse is 7:14. Devi Isha Gunamai, Mama Maya Durachaya, Mam E Bhajante Mayam Itam Tarantite. This material world, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is very difficult to overcome. Krishna is telling us everything in Bhagavad Gita. All we need to do is lift it. It's not different to Krishna. Krishna is speaking to us personally. But unfortunately, our eyes are not anointed with the power of love, so we can't see it face to face. But Prabhupada said, if we try, we maintain all the principles, we're chanting nicely, one day you will see Krishna face to face. It's possible. We have to have that conviction. I'm not ready now. Even I was reading yesterday, Prabhupada was saying in a little calendar, you were saying that if you're a Sankirtan devotee, you're distributing books, and someone doesn't take a book from you, Krishna is already saying to the person, you're not ready for it now. The person won't take a book. We shouldn't be very disappointed because we're making an endeavor. If the person doesn't take, then what can be done? We are not the controllers of any situation. We do our bit, we surrender, and leave it to Krishna to make the change in our life. So in this way, we just surrender to the best of our ability, and then wait for the results from Krishna. However, if the surrendering process is hampered by so-called family members, one should immediately give them up to complete the surrendering process. This may seem like very extreme, but the rendering process is hampered by so-called family members. One should immediately give them up to complete the surrendering process. So this Krishna consciousness journey is a lifelong process. It's a long journey. So it's not like for today and tomorrow. We have to maintain it over a long period of life. So a devotee is meant to be Titikshava Karunika, very merciful. We have to learn the art of devotional service, going step by step. We can't run with it. When we start, when we introduce ourselves to Krishna consciousness, sometimes the early days may be very fanatical. We can go from one extreme to the other, especially to others. Like, I got the answers to my question. Now I have to give it to the world. If they don't want to listen to me, then I have to show them and tell them how this process works. And it's not in a gentle, nice way, because we've got it and we're so convinced we want to bash everyone over their head until they learn. And who gets it the most? The people we're living with, mostly family members, brothers, sisters, uncles, somewhere people that we're living around. So it's very, very important. Although Prabhupada says immediately give them up, we as devotees, we should be very conscious that we want to give Krishna consciousness to others, not take it away. Because if we try and adapt ourselves slowly, we learn about the 26 qualities of a devotee, and a few of them is like patience, tolerance, free from anger, free from lust, greed, all these disqualifications on the part of devotional service. If we qualify ourselves gradually and gradually and gradually, trying our best and praying not to be affected by the external things that go around, even though family members may be inimical, because it's a different kind of culture. They get a culture shock, especially in the West. It's very difficult for parents to understand the change in their children. If, like, I'm the only child for my parents, and all of a sudden, as a teenager, most like teenagers, they join 18, 19 years, and they become a devotee, and the parents are devastated because they have so many plans. I want my child to go to, university or college, get a degree and that, or this. They have so many plans, and being the only child, there's so much attachment there. When there's a separation, and if the child just introduced to Krishna consciousness becomes inimical and fights, then you distance yourself from your parents. In that way, they become more, enraged and more inimical. And you kind of lost them. Then you move into the temple. You don't give them, and there's no contact with them. And it becomes dire, if you lost them. Whereas if you gradually if they see your example as a person change to a softer being with developing qualities of, love, care, attention, like that, by your example, they would think he's making changes. He's making changes for the better. And gradually, I know lots of parents now, as they're getting older, they're chanting the Hare Krishna mantra because their children have taken to Krishna consciousness and shown their parents that this is the way to go. And when they visit their parents, the mother said, recently I had one devotee says that a mother started chanting. Mother is about 75 or something. Mother started chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. So it's so wonderful to hear parents are taking, and some of them come to the temple as well. And we have children, like at least maybe 10,000 children a year come from outside school, they come to the temple. And these children, they're only sometime between 9, 10, 14, like that. They're young children. They go home, they tell their parents about the temple, how nice time they had, what food they ate and everything. And the next time, they bring little children, they're bringing the parents to the temple just from the experience they had. So this Krishna consciousness, although we don't know, there's a lot of people out there that are chanting, come to the temple, because we don't know everyone. People, even we meet on the street, we give a book, we forget them. We don't know whether they're coming and visiting or not. Who was it that told a story? Pramanava, he gave a lecture the other day, and he was saying he met a man he was giving a book to. And this man, he was about 70, and he said, I know you. He told Pramanava, I know you. I met you 14 years ago. You gave me a book 14 years ago, and he was quite surprised. Pramanava, this man remembers me. Then he recalled and he remembered. The man was married. Now he was divorced, and he had, so much distress, so much problems in his life. And there he was giving him another book, you know. Krishna is in the heart of all living entities. Once you meet a devotee, there's got to be progress on, on the path. He was about to commit suicide, and it said, this man, I hope I'm not deviating too much, just stories, it's very relevant. He slept on the railway line waiting for a train to come and finish him off. And this train was delayed that day. So there was an hour's delay. He was lying, eventually he got a bit tired waiting, so he got up. And then after he met Brahmanava, who gave him the book. I thought, wow, Krishna is so kind. He's always there protecting his devotees. So in this way, we have to have faith that this process works, it works, and we have to know it for everyone. I've lost it again. What do you press? This one. Okay. Yeah, that's what I wrote down. And okay, I'll just talk about Lord Chaitanya. In 1967, in New York, Srila Prabhupada was giving a lecture for about 3 days, actually, and he was talking about Lord Caitanya-caritāmṛta, the actual meaning of Lord Chaitanya. Chaitanya means the living force. Charita means the character. And Amrita can mean nectar, immortality, or eternality. So these three things. So he was mentioning that how Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, is actually the living force. The character of Lord Chaitanya is the living force, which is of immortality, eternal, full of enjoyment, full of nectar. So this living force is moving everything in this material world. The living entities especially. He said the table, he was giving an example of the table. This table cannot move anywhere. Unless you touch it and move it, it will move. But people, living entities, by this sound, by vibration, by the living force within the Supreme Lord, gives the energy and the power to move. So it's in our ability to give this, this sound vibration and this Harinam, so people get to know and they become happy in this material world. Yeah, so that lecture was going on and on about, how we're not this material body, how we spirit souls, how we have to make moves to go back home, back to Godhead in this lifetime. It's not impossible. What was that? Impossible is a word found in a Fool's Dictionary. So nothing is impossible in this material world if we take shelter of the Supreme Lord, because this whole movement is represented by Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya spread the whole movement in India, but he left this movement, he left the words to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada carried the message at his ripe age of 70. He brought it to the West. Now he's given it to us freely. We have to take it and be able to please Srila Prabhupada by giving it to others. I'll stop there. There's 10 minutes for questions or comments or chastisement. Yes, Prabhu. This verse.
Yeah, the devotees might be pleased to know that Bhavananda Roy is actually Maharaj Pandu,
Yes.
and his wife is Kunti, and his 5 sons are actually 5 Pandavas.
Right.
And this is just a kind of, I just brought this point up just to show that when the Lord appears, he appears with his associates. So Ram Leela, Krishna Leela, Chaitanya Leela,
Right.
you know, his eternal associates are with him wherever he goes.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you.
I was just reminded of that when seeing the verse.
Yeah, I didn't talk much about the verses, no. Yes.
At the end of the Sankirtan festival, we had a nice class from Caitanya-caritāmṛta, and he was saying that we may give somebody a book and then we forget about them, but once they've gotten the book and started to read it, then swasti aina, they go on an auspicious journey.
Right.
So we may not see people flocking to the temple, but all the books go out. And everyone that touches them is affected. They get at least a human birth if they touch the book. So that's very hopeful for the future. The more books that are going out, the more auspiciousness. And it's just a question of being patient and, like you say, having conviction that this will manifest in due course of time. Don't be impatient. It'll take time, but it will happen, you know.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of people that we giving books to. They're coming. We don't know, do we? Yeah. Thank you for that. Hare Krishna.
Earlier on, you mentioned that you know, if people were to stick to the process, you know, they could see the Lord face to face. You know, if it's you know, from the heart and everything after a certain amount of time. Do you know of any devotees in ISKCON to this day who have had that experience?
No, I don't, because these things are not for show. This is like a very intimate, personal kind of thing. Sometimes Lord Chaitanya, as Prabhupada was saying, these devotees are not ordinary devotees. The Lord Chaitanya brought all the associates from the spiritual world. He brought them down. The demigods as well, they come down, you know, different demigods. And each of the devotees represents a certain personality. Like Prabhupada Pran says, Bhavananda Roy had 5 sons. And Lord Chaitanya revealed to him, you know, what his real nature was. He said, you are Bhavananda, you're not different to Pandu. And your 5 sons are like the Pandavas, the sons of the Pandavas. So certain people, he reveals his mind and tell them exactly what they are. But Krishna's pastimes, Lord Chaitanya pastimes, are transcendental. They're not of this material world. And all the pastimes that enacted there, just like Lord Krishna came 5,000 years ago, acting as an ordinary human being, but he killed demons at the very young age, you know, 5, 6, he was killing demons. And ordinary people that not into the philosophy, that don't understand Krishna to be the supreme personality of Godhead, today they see it as mythology. They think it's fairy stories, storytelling, you know. Because whatever happens in this material world is limited to our knowledge. It's very far-fetched. We can't expect a 4 or 5-year-old lifting a Govardhan hill with, you know, a pinky. It's unimaginable. One time I told my brother-in-law somehow was reading a Krishna book, and he chose the story of Putana. He was reading that story, I don't know what. And then when we went to visit, he said to us, can you believe that was it that story? Not, you know, about the 12 miles. Yeah, Putana was 12 miles long, right? Can you believe that a woman can go 12 miles long and, you know, all the trees falling down? You guys might be in cuckoo land, he said, because the mind is limited. we can't see beyond. And mythology. So a devotee who's having like a contact with Krishna reciprocating, he doesn't make it a show. So Lord Chaitanya was like that. He came as a devotee, he didn't want to reveal himself. And some devotee like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya or Swarup Damodar, someone that said he was the supreme, he would block his ears, he wouldn't want to hear. He'll say he's a devotee. So it's a very intimate thing. Devotees don't talk about those things. Hare Krishna.
Current methods of Orishikon society. Sometimes in some circumstances, they will express an experience that they've had where they felt that they were looking at Krishna directly and they're convinced of it. But again, it's not their main theme. It may slip out in certain circumstances. But sometimes devotees have experiences that to them, they've just interfaced with Krishna directly. So it is not, doesn't happen. But again, you said, devotees just don't broadcast it. They just keep it to themselves privately.
Thank you.
So every time we gaze upon the deity, we're seeing Krishna face to face. We just don't realize it.
That's right. Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice class. You were mentioning that, when we go out on Sankirtan, we try to give somebody a book and they don't take it. So actually we are not the controller and, Krishna is telling them in the air, you're not ready for the book yet. So just a question. Why is that when we go on Sankirtan, few devotees find many people who are ready for the book, but few people don't find people who are ready for the book?
Many people were ready for the book. Oh, purity of heart. You have to learn tolerance, patience. You need to Krishna is giving us a taste. Sometimes you go for hours without doing any books, and you take shelter of Krishna. Why? What have I done? What wrong? Why can't I distribute? Then Krishna wants to see your endeavor. He wants to see how much shelter you take of him, irrespective of success or failure. As long as we see dualities in this material world, suffering takes place. If you don't see the duality in happiness or distress, you see the hand of Krishna. Krishna, maybe I'm not concentrating in this service. What am I doing? Let me chant one round. Let me read maybe a verse, and maybe I will get some inspiration. Keep in touch with Krishna. Lord Chaitanya always. Never feel you're alone on the battlefield. If you feel you're alone on the battlefield, you're going to run away. What did Krishna say to Arjuna? You're a Kshatriya. With knowledge, stand and fight. We stand there until then, after a few hours waiting, someone might come and say, oh, I've been waiting for you for ages. Where have you been? They might take a whole set of books from you. Yes, I've done it. I've done it, We think like that, we forget. But Krishna, we have to see his hand in everything in our life. The smallest thing, nothing is coincidence. Nothing is a coincidence. Everything, even a parking space in the supermarket. The whole place may be full, and you go right to the front, there's one parking there. How did this happen? Just think, Krishna. Krishna is kind. He's given me this,
There's no such word as accident in Vedic culture.
Yeah.
There's no such word.
Yeah, coincidence or accident. We think, happened by chance. We don't believe in chance. Every little thing, be it big or small, always focus. Prabhupada says that. If you see Krishna's hand in every little thing that goes on in your life, you got no problem. You're connected directly to Krishna in the heart. Prabhupada, you wanted to say something. So.
Yes, so just a response to Alan's point. Caitanya-caritāmṛta was asked, have you seen Krishna? And he says, no, but I've seen the hand of Krishna. And so sometimes we see the hand of God afterwards, not often during it, but we look back and think, I would never have chose such an arrangement, but it turned out good. This is Krishna's hand.
Yeah.
And also Prabhupada said that if we just follow these 4 rules, chant the 16 rounds, and dedicate our life to this mission, guaranteed we'll see Krishna face to face at the end of this life.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Actually, we do know somebody that's seen Krishna, but Prabhupada also says that a devotee likes to, they don't display their ecstasies and they don't share these things, you know, for the fear of spoiling it, getting some fame. So everybody thinks, oh yeah, this person's seen Krishna, and then before you know it, then maybe they don't see Krishna. If the pride comes in, they don't want to spoil it. Although they're afraid to say anything, and in case anybody thinks that they're just a sahaja.
Right. Mhm. Yeah.
Maybe I could just say that when Mother Ranjini got sick, first of all, we can say that now because she's not here. She went back to Godhead. But she was like that. At one time she was quite distressed. She got sick, she had a brain tumor, and she started getting some interesting experiences, and she was just chanting all day long, non-stop chanting. And one day she was found to be quite distressed, saying, oh, I don't want to be a sahaja, I don't want to be a sahaja. And she was asked, what do you mean? She said, oh, just when I had that fit, all I could see was the big face of Shama Sundar. I didn't experience any pain. And then another occasion, remember these Krishna stories tapes that used to be there? So she was in her room, which is now room 15 at Krunabhavan, the room she actually passed away in, or went back to Godhead from. So the tape was playing in the room, and a devotee came into a room, and Mother Ranjini said, oh, I can see the tape. And the devotee was looking around to see where is it. And then he realized the tape was playing, and because she was practically blind, but she could see it. In other words, she was actually starting to see the pastimes. And it's described that when a devotee becomes absorbed, they start to see, they become absorbed in the japa, then they start to see the pastimes manifesting, and then they start to focus on a particular person on that pastime. And then they realize that person is them. And when they realize that person is them, they've left the material body and they're back in the spiritual world.
Incredible. Beautiful. Thank you very much.
So as Prabhupada says, just chant Hare Krishna, guaranteed you'll see Krishna face to face.
Yeah. Beautiful. Like Mother Kulangana, when she was like all lying down, almost unconscious, and the doctor came to see her. And we were in the room, a few devotees in the room, the doctor came in, and we said, Mother Kulangana, the doctor was shaking and he said, I've come to see, I've come to check on you. And she said, can you please leave me alone? I'm trying to go back home, back to Godhead. Because she was entering something, she was busy with something, she was asleep. So she said, can't you see, I'm trying to go back home. Someone wants to take her. And the doctor comes in and she said, please leave me alone. So yeah, devotees are very special, Yeah.
There was also, when Prabhupada was passing away, I'm not sure which devotee it was, but one elevated godbrother, seeing Prabhupada's position as he was lying on his so-called deathbed, he says, now Prabhupada is in ecstasy, he's dancing with Krishna. To the untrained eye, it just looks like he was lying in a particular awkward position or something, but he could see that this is a symptom that he's actually in the spiritual world already, dancing with Krishna.
Wow. Thank you for all that beautiful stories. Okay. I think we're done. Shri Caitanya-caritāmṛta ki jai. Lord Chaitanya's appearance tomorrow ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Her Grace Lalita Sakhi Devi Dasi ki.
Haribo.